But I want to talk a little bit first of all about the Night of Hope and what it is that you want people to hear and what it is that you want people to walk away with when they come to Conseco Fieldhouse tomorrow night.
You know, I really want them to know that God is a good God, that He's on their side, that He's got a great plan for their life, and that even when it's tough economically or you've got some relationship problems or other difficulties, God is the one that gives you the strength to keep going on, and not to just go on, but to go on with a good attitude and to, I like to say, to thrive and not just survive.
And it's about not just saying this, but it's about believing in that faith that you have.
I think so. You got to believe deep down that God's got that plan, He's got a purpose, and you got to take actions. I mean, we just don't sit back and say, okay, go God, but you know what? You look for new opportunities. You be a blessing to other people. You see each day as a gift and you make the most of it.
The largest church, or if not one of the largest churches in America, 7 million people watch you every week in 100 nations around the world. Did you ever think that you'd be able to reach people in this magnitude?
You know, I never did. I never dreamed I would be doing this. You know, I worked for many years behind the scenes with my parents and never ministered myself up in front of people, but when my dad died, I stepped into that role, and it just lets me know that God's dream for our life is bigger than our own. I mean, I didn't know I could stand up in front of people. I didn't know I could reach, I didn't know anybody would listen, but you know what? God's got amazing plans in store for each one of us.
Yes, He does. The first non-baseball event at Yankee Stadium, 45,000 people packed it out. More people, more millions of people watched on the airwaves at that event. What made you decide to take your message on the road, so to speak?
You know, we really wanted to try to connect with people that watch us on television, and part of it was for our own good, just to see what kind of difference we're making, and never dreamed that it would continue. We started it back in 2004, and here we are 6 years later still doing it. So part of it is to, you know, just to connect, to give people an opportunity to take a stand for their faith. Some people won't come to a church, but they'll go to a basketball arena or a baseball field, and so I think a lot of the defenses are down, and it gives people an opportunity to come and hear about the Lord.
I want to talk about Central Indiana in particular. There is such a sense of community here. There is a sense of warmth here, and I'm fairly new, so I notice all of these things. No matter what religion people practice, there's an overall sense of faith here, a sense of perseverance. But like every place in America, there are challenges here right now. I want you to speak to our young people first. We have young people right now being sexually abused in school. We have young people putting fights on YouTube and posting those fights. We have young people involved in extreme bullying, cases of hazing, really mistreating each other. What is the message to our young people? Because we want to be able, I know myself personally and as a news organization, to inspire our young people to be the best they can be.
I think it's important that they realize they are people of purpose, that God has a destiny for them. I think sometimes when you hear some of these things that they're doing, rather than it's being done to them, is they don't feel like, you know what, I don't have any reason, I'm just one of the 6 billion people on earth. When you see yourself as a person of destiny, that God's got a plan, there's something for you to do, I believe that'll help you to get up each day and say, you know what, I'm going to make something out of my life. I'm going to rise above where my parents were, or above these bad habits, and I'm going to become everything God's created me to be.
We've had some recent stories in the news: murder, suicide, very disturbing numbers, abuse, dissension within families. We know most families are just trying to make it. The economic climate is not the best, but there is a responsibility that we have as adults to make sure that we're creating loving and nurturing environments. What is your message to our parents and to our families?
To not bring the tension from the outside into the home. I mean, that's where it all begins, with the home, and our children, you know, I like to say more is caught than what's taught. They're not necessarily listening to what we're saying, they're watching what we're doing. Are we treating people with respect and kindness? Are we getting it with a grateful attitude?
We have a case going on right now where a police officer was driving on duty with lights and sirens blaring. He was driving drunk. He ran into some motorcyclists, killed one, and severely injured 2 others. So we have a police department that's in the process of rebuilding the trust in its image. There's another case of an officer beating a 15-year-old African-American boy. And that has ignited some underlying racial tensions. So I'd like to give a message to our leaders and to the people who are hurting, who see this, because a lot of time racial tension gone unnoticed can fester and it can breed more negative.
Number one, we have to walk in integrity. We have to not just talk the talk, we have to walk the walk, and you know, it goes back to treating people with respect, and you know, like the Scripture says, to treat others as you would want them to treat you. And I think sometimes when we let those guards down and we, you know, let our anger or bad actions take over, you know, things happen, and you know, it's unfortunate, and we have to rise above it. We have to, you know, learn to, you know, walk in forgiveness and mercy, but at the same time, justice has to be served.
So many people, as we've been talking about, are dealing with trials, anything, whatever it is that's specific to their family or their certain need. What would you say about what our mindset and our attitude needs to be in going through trials and overcoming them?
Yeah, I think you have to realize just what you said, that it's a test, that this season will pass. Sometimes we're in the winter season, but spring is coming. And sometimes we think that, you know, our life is over and we give up on our dreams and on our, you know, on our family, but I don't believe it's really dead. You're going to come into another season. God still has another door that He's going to open. So I think it's important to keep that hope out there. I mean, you can't have faith if you don't first have hope that there are brighter days up ahead.
Because God has given us unique gifts, unique talents, and with those gifts, He's given us our mission in life, I like to say. So I like to say we need to figure out what that is and step forward and protect those gifts, because there are people and there are things that are going to try and take those gifts from us.
That's right. Almost on a daily basis, there will be people that will try to stop you from your destiny. There'll be negative thoughts. There'll be situations, and you got to be determined. You got to persevere. And I think what you said is so true. You got to know what it is, and you got to stay focused and say, you know what, this is just a distraction. This obstacle or this, you know, this thing that's trying to pull me down, and just keep moving forward and keep your eyes focused on the prize ahead.
And I think you've said it best. God, we have to make sure we remember that God has gone before us and prepared the way. He's already made the connections for us, just like with so many things that have happened with you in your ministry.
Yeah, you know, I like to say that God has the solution before we ever had the problem. I mean, He's already planned out our life. Now it's up to us to stay in faith and trust Him. And so much of faith is just believing that God's in control when I can't see it, I can't feel it, it doesn't look like it. But that's what faith is all about, to come back and say, well, God, I believe You're still, you know, on the throne and guiding and directing my steps.
I have gone through a trial, which I've shared a little bit about with you. My integrity, my character, everything was destroyed, disseminated in a very public way. And it was through that trial that you taught me, through your leadership, that God will sometimes use the most harrowing experiences to show how great and magnificent His glory is. And because of that, I want you to know that each and every single day, I receive letters from people, thousands of people so far, saying thank you for going through that with such grace, with such integrity. Thank you for talking. A part of it was a severe domestic violence issue that no one knew about. So a lot of things got sensationalized, and there was a lot of jealousy I didn't realize that was around me at the time. So people use those opportunities to try and bury us, but I can sit here and I can say that all the leadership that you've provided is so true, that God can take a situation when it looks like you are down for the count, and He can use that to uplift and to show His magnificent grace and His magnificent glory. So I want to personally thank you for what you're doing, not just for me, because it's not about me, really. It's about the testimony that I have now been able to walk away with and share. But I want to say thank you for the sacrifices that I know you have to make in order to continue to do the work that you do. And I just hope and pray that people can hear the message and see the message. Is there anything that you would like to say in addition to that, to maybe people who are watching, maybe something that's on your heart? I know you've been in many interviews, and some of them have been fair, some have been unfair. I know there are critics that are out there. Is there anything you'd like to say to any of those people?
You know, I appreciate what you had to say, and you know what, I believe that God fights our battles for us when we stay on the high road like you did, and in the end, God causes you to triumph. So I would just encourage people to just stay in faith and keep being their best and keep doing the right thing even when the wrong thing's happening, because you know what, I believe every time you'll come out just like you did with the testimony of God's faithfulness, His goodness, and you know, God never just brings you out, He brings you out better off than you were before.
He absolutely does. What will people see tomorrow night when they go to Conseco Fieldhouse? I don't want to give it away, no. But...
We're going to have a great time. There's a lot of music, just inspiration. We have a lot of fun. My children will be there, and my mom will be there, different people. And we just try to have 2.5 hours of uplifting music and inspiration. Just going to talk to people about letting go of the past, having a big dream for their life, not getting stuck at the same level, believing they can rise higher and really become what God's created them to be.
Final word to Central Indiana from Pastor Joel.
Central Indiana, we love you. We know God has great things in store. This economic time will pass and you'll move into something greater. And so we're just standing in faith that you'll see your dreams come to pass and just that you'll see God's goodness in new ways.
Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your time and continued blessings to you and your family.
Thank you. I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much.